Hello, thank you everyone for joining us in our first quarterly call for the year for Law Help Interactive. We have an exciting agenda, and we're going to be centering around technical technical tips and reminders, recommendations for testing templates and improving performance. But before we all that, very excited that I'll be doing some introductions of new LHI team members, including Van Emerald, who is in the call with us. And then I'll share with the community some updates on what we call our go-to-market strategy and other upcoming and very exciting changes in the LHI platform. And then I'll ask again to receive survey information for partners using LHI to power up their forms, and from their partners, I'll get a little bit into that. Then Mark Lauritsen from Capstone Practice will do the technical piece. And then we're going to have any other questions or comments, upcoming changes or suggestions, and discussion with all of you. So thank you for joining. So let's get to this. This is just the LHI vision statement, which is one that I really love because it was created with the full team. And we continue to strive to kind of be the place in between that empowers people to use their voice through free online forums as the tool to convey what they need to people who have decision-making power to resolve problems. And so the first 2 months of this year, each month we have finished about 50,000 interviews and completed about 85,000 forum package each month. So it's just really great to know that people are having their voice when they're on their own through the free online forums that we provide to them as self-represented. So Van, I'm very excited to welcome Van Emerald. I don't know, Van, do you want to say a little bit about yourself? There's some description in the bottom, but
Sure. Are your slides? Yeah, I was going to say your slides aren't changing.
oh, sorry. Let me see. Maybe there is a lag. Let me close stuff because it could be that my internet is slow.
I can, in the meantime, just start talking. I'm Van Emerald. I use they, them pronouns. I've been working in legal aid tech for about 3.5 years now. I'm coming from another organization called Illinois Legal Aid Online, and was doing program management of their live chat service over that way, and just started in the new year with Pro Bono Net, and my title is Product Support Specialist, and I mainly manage the Zendesk tickets for 3 programs at Pro Bono Net, but the majority of my time will be to support Claudia and other folks like Mark with things that come in on the back end for Law Help Interactive. And I'll also be doing some reporting and sort of analytics and kind of gathering and evaluating that and helping improve things for the end users and developers over time as I get to know everything a bit more, since I've only been here maybe almost 3 months now, I think.
Thank you.
Oh, and I'm based in Chicago. So yeah, I know that a lot of people are all over, but I'm kind of central.
Thank you, Van. Very excited to have you. I think some of you may already be corresponding with Van when we are reporting end user feedback related to things that could be related to templates or instructions. And that we've been training, and soon we're going to be adding hopefully some additional analytical capacity on Zendesk, creating more reports, hopefully by collection, and other activities and extra power that would allow us to continue improving the site, the messages, and giving you better feedback from end users, etc., as the tools that you create are being created, and people are sharing their experience with us. Do you see my slides now, or did they not come?
Yes, we do.
Okay, great. Now, the other person that I'm really excited to welcome is Sanam Malik. Sanam is not with us today, but some of you may already be interacting with Sanam. Sanam is very experienced in working as an advocate for um, systemically oppressed communities. And she will be working with me more on what we call the program side, which is less of the tech side, but more on the things that we love doing at Pro Bono Net, which is building communities and being very intentional about using technology to protect and empower communities that have been left out by the traditional American legal system. And I don't call it a justice system because it is not just. That's just my personal opinion. So Sanam and I will be working together on that part of things, which will include working with you on training, working in you in expanding capacity so that the forms can really be remain and continue to be a cornerstone of justice work in the United States for people that don't have access to legal organizations, etc., or to courts. So we'll be working more doing trainings, blogs, hopefully interviewing some of the projects that are doing incredible work across the U.S. Another communication strategy. So really excited to be supported by Sanam and learning from her and all the capacity that she brings to this small team where we really want to have a big impact in the justice space for all, not just the traditional cis English speaking um, able bodied, of one gender and one culture, but really multilingual, multicultural. So very excited about having Sanam in the team, and some of you will be interacting with her very soon. In terms of updates, we have what we call the go-to-market strategy. I think I reported in December a little bit more on this. And we continue doing nonprofit subscriptions, and those are going well. For everybody that subscribe, I have been meeting with all the programs and sitting down and making sure that you're using the services that we provide to maximum capacity, answering questions, etc. And have a second round, hopefully, that will be of interviews coming up in the next week or so. So I'll be reaching to those of you who did not respond to me. So checking in formally, but wanna let everybody know that you can always check in with me even when I'm not requesting to meet with you every 3 or 4 months. My door is always open, and the most important thing is to maintain communication and for us to understand how you're using the forms and the system so that we continue to invest and be proactive and supportive in supporting your mission, which is probably a mission also related to justice and equality and access and protecting people's data and all of that good stuff that comes now with technology. We will be reviewing the terms of use for those of you who have contracts with us sometime in late May and June. And we will be reaching out to everyone, based on utilization primarily, but maybe other factors. So we will be in touch. If anybody is creating budgets or has other financial or internal board requirements where you may need to hear from us earlier, please reach out to me. Happy to do that. Because I know that different people have different budget and budget approval um, timelines in their program. We want to make sure that we can be responsive to you. And so reach out if you need something earlier than May or June, because that's the time frame where we're going to be doing this work internally. The other thing is that if you're curious about where you are, where your project is in terms of growth or utilization, etc., you can always log in to the report that you can pull for your own statistics. And that's at probono.net LHI, and it's under evaluation metrics folders. And you can pull your own data on a monthly basis. Or, I think we have it going back to 2018 if you really want to analyze trends. So you can do your own self-service on that. And the quarterly reports are also posted on probono.net LHI, and that those are a little bit more detailed, but they're done by quarter, and we do those. So Van and I are about to post those hopefully mid-April, once we close out March and get a chance to move in and pull those reports and review them. So that's what's coming up in that regard. In terms of course inscriptions, we continue to work with multiple courts, including working with potentially interested courts, always interested in the e-filing um, options and solutions, because those make the life a lot better for people who prefer to or need to, because of disability, they need accommodations, or for other reasons, transportation barriers, etc., need to have access to filing in different ways. So always happy to speak with anyone that's court-based, etc., on potential solutions. And then one thing that is going to be changing is in the pay it forward voluntary donation that we've put on LHI since September of 2021. We're going to be adding PayPal, the PayPal option soon. So after the code push of Thursday, then we're going to move in to change the PayPal and add a PayPal option. This is in response to end users who said that they wanted to give a donation so somebody else can create forms. And so we are finally moving to implement that end user feedback, which a lot of people want to give a small token of appreciation and help other people and do domestic violence forms or divorce forms. A lot of the feedback is about helping others tackle the issues that the creation of the forms for themselves for free help them. So that's upcoming, hopefully soon. We're going to also be making some changes to the LHI side to make it more descriptive of the services that we provide. We have not had the need to market LHI or have marketing language on the site itself, but we are in a new paradigm. And so we will step up to that and change the site a little bit so that people who want to learn about the pros of using LHI as a document assembly platform will find some of that information there, and then they'll be able to contact us if they want to engage in a discussion about a contract. The other thing that we're doing, and Sanam was in touch with some of you, is we are going to be updating the Find Forms links, hopefully in this code push coming up on Thursday. And so if any of you know that you have outdated Find Forms in the LHI page that are going to the wrong page, or a page that's not listing your self-help forms, please send those to us, because we do want to make sure that if users come directly to lawhelpinteractive.org, we want to make sure that if they do search there, they find forms if you have those in your system, in your um, lawhelp.org equivalent type page. Um, one one thing that we're also doing is on the back end, we're changing the way that we collect organization information. And this is because we have every year we approve over 1,600 organizations and about 9,000 organizational accounts, but we have never really had a robust database for organizations. And so now this year we already started like collecting contact information, email information of who the lead in each nonprofit organization using LHI might be. And now we're gonna continue with that and start creating reports so that we know who are the organizations that are using LHI frequently, and where they are, what states, what zip code, etc., because we had never really invested in knowing that part of it. But it's evidently very large group of users supporting self-helpers or even supporting their own staff or pro bono lawyers. So something that I'm very excited about, to get to know and hopefully work closer with those organizations. The other piece of information that I'm really excited to share is that we are evaluating adding Hot Docs Advance. And Mark, you can say if you want to share a little bit about what this is. It's in my understanding, it's like the new version of Hot Docs. Um, it's takes us beyond. Right now we're on Classic 11.x. I don't remember the right termination, the number of that, but this is the new version of Hot Docs. And so we will be hopefully adding that starting our technical work on that. So for right now, we're scoping it and doing an analysis so that we can then push that into the LHI system, which is really a big investment in the sustainability of LHI and giving developers and end users a much better modern looking interface. And then the last thing is with Van now working closely with me, big part of the focus continues to be to take the feedback that we get on our back end and also from partners on things that we can do better or improve in LHI, or parts where the language can be put into plain language. We put everything in plain language, but sometimes instructions that we have or partners have are not clear, and continue to work in making the LHI site and the forms that are there super usable, super able to be finished and printed and then submitted through some backend methodology, through LHI or through a partner. So that's some of the things that we'll be doing in this next three to 6 months. LHI evaluation. We have 227 responses from end users in LHI, so we will be removing the link in the next couple of weeks. So that's fantastic. And I'll be sharing what the end users tell us in a later call, maybe December call, maybe the first quarter of next year call. And then we have a partner survey that I have sent through the list and I have sent individually. I really want to request everyone that has not answered it, that's on the call, to take the survey and to share it with the organizations, lawyers, pro bono groups, libraries that are using or referring people to the LHI forms, because I would love to see representation from all of the states that rely on LHI to help the community that uses the free forms that are posted there. So we don't have, I have, representation of about 5 states, and there's about 40 states, including states that are using LHI for free because the volume is low, where I don't have responses. And I would really love it if I don't have to send another round of individual emails, etc., because this is something we do every year, and it's always very helpful for us in seeing where we're doing well and seeing where we need to be more responsive or proactive. So just a survey, please answer it and I'll circulate it again. I'll put it in the chat shortly. I will now stop and turn it over to Mark.
Hey, good afternoon. Thank you, Claudia. Let me see. Let me share my screen. Okay. I'm going to cover a very basic topic. Hopefully, it won't take too long. But it's important because it has a lot of impact on our system and our users. So let me first of all bring up the familiar hot docs. This is Hot Docs Classic. This is used for many of the modules on LHI. And for those that are familiar with this, it's got quite, for a given application like this Washington State file for divorce module that I've downloaded a while back, if we peer into its component file, the underlying pieces that make up this application, we see a whole bunch of variables. Some are text variables, which are free form. Users can put in any information they want. Some are number variables. Some are dates, etc., etc. And when you present these to a user in a dialog, so if I bring up a dialog in Hot Docs, I don't know, case filing and service, you'll see these are the various fields that are presented, the variables that are presented to the user via fields. And when they answer a question, they, depending upon the type of variable it is, they'll see different things. And these happen to be in red because they're required. But one of the benefits of Hot Docs, or at least the features of Hot Docs, is that when you place a variable, let's say a date variable or a number variable in a dialog, Hot Docs will treat that variable as such and will not accept a non-date answer to a date variable or a non-number answer to a number variable. And that then prevents problems, because when you finish an interview running this online and save your answer file, the answer file has to comport with a basic syntax of answer sets in order to be safely processable on the server. So we generally don't get problems with answer sets not being valid on when coming from a hot docs interview. However, in the case of A to J, which is more flexible in the way it organizes the presentation of questions, it is possible to have a date variable, for instance, that is presented in a text field. So the user, as far as they know, is being asked for a date, but A to J is not enforcing any necessary validity condition for that answer. And so a user could mistype a name of the month, or put in February 29th or 30th, or put in an invalid date. And A to J will say, okay, fine, it'll take that answer, it'll put it into the answer set that gets created at the end of the process and passed to LHI. And then LHI, in its policeman role, will take a look at that answer set and say, wait a second, what's this non-date doing in this date field? And the same thing is true for numbers. So this is kind of a common issue we've run into. It results in a bad experience for users, because if the answer file is invalid, LHI, at least when there's a hot docs template being used, will not generate the document. The user will get an error and they'll be thwarted in their job. And as far as they know, they didn't do anything wrong, and it causes problems. So we see this happen, I don't know, at least a couple of times a day, I think, on average. And what I've done here is I'm now on A2Jauthor.org. This is the environment where one builds and maintains A to J interviews, as I'm sure most of you know. And a while back, I just created a little simple test interview to illustrate this point. So once again, we're in a world of authoring a guided interview and potentially an assembled document. It's got a universe of variables, just like hot docs does, like I showed a minute ago. And so I've got an illustrative date variable called date DA. Its type is date, right? So that's the type of the variable. But it's used in a variety of places in this interview. We're going to go there in a second in different fields. Let me just get out of this. So we've got date variables, we've got a number variable, and we've got some true false variables. And they're part of the underlying universe of fragments or components that we can present to users. Now, if we go to a given page, let's go to this page right here. This is a typical page in A to J, and it's got, I believe, 2 fields. So let's scroll down here. We got 2 fields. One is a number type, and you'll notice the variable associated with this our number NU variable, which itself is of number type. So that's good. And the same thing is true for the date. We've got a date variable. Its type is date. But you'll notice here that if I was not careful, I could have just gone with the default of text type. And had I done that, it would cause trouble. So this particular page is fine. I'm going to close it. And then I've added a second page. I'll bring that up, where I've done the wrong thing. I still have my 2 fields, but you'll notice here that my first field, which has this number variable inside of it, is a text field. And this is going to behave differently. So let me just show you. That's kind of the behind the scenes thing. If I preview this and I come here, notice, by the way, I'm on that first page. It's got these 2 variables, number and date. And if I try to type a non-number, because it's a number type field, A to J is jumping up and saying, wait a second, you must type a number. So that's good. And the same thing for a date. If I try to type, January, it won't even accept my typing. I need to pick a date or type a proper date here. Okay, so far so good. Now, if I continue to my next page, this is the page in A to J where those same variables are presented via text fields. So now, if I want to type, something funny, A to J doesn't care, doesn't know any differently, and the same thing with the date. And I can type something and continue. I won't go on to the true false variables because they present a little bit of a different issue, but that just shows you for the moment in terms of how A to J behaves and how a developer might fall into a trap of presenting text or number variables via text fields. It's going to cause trouble. So let me jump over to LHI where I've loaded a copy of this very interview so you can see what happens on the server. I'm going to run the interview. Okay, I'm not going to open any answer files. So here again is that same A to J interview we were just looking at in A to J author, the development environment, but now it's out here in the world running online on LHI. And once again, this is the first dialog, which is properly configured, first page. And I'm not going to bother answering this one. But here, let's say I go ahead and I take advantage of the fact that it's a text field and accidentally or on purpose put in something that's not a number or a date. And so far, everything seems fine. I'm in my interview, and give me a sense. I think it will go over to LHI. Now, if I try to download my forms, I should get okay, you see this, documents not generated. Please try again. Now, it's not generated, not because there's any problem in the document template. It's not generated because the answer set is invalid. I can save my answers, and let's just call it invalid answer set, because I happen to know that's what it will be. And so the answers are saved, I think, but I'm not going to be able to do anything with them as far as getting a document. Now, I want to show you one last thing before I leave this topic, which is, I think over here we go. So I'm going to my answers, my saved answers. And if you're a developer on LHI, as you probably know, one of the things you can do, unlike most developers, is you can download an answer set and look at it. And answer sets are simply text files. They're XML formats. So if I open this this answer file, you'll see here its contents. And it's got a true false variable here. It's got a proper answer of false. But here we got a number variable that's got that string of text of letters that's not a number. And we've also got a date that's got this even more alarming undefined syntax. So this will be rejected by the LHI software because it's not a valid answer file. It's got errors. The user will not get a document. They'll be thwarted. They may or may not then report it to the LHI support desk, which will then have to go scrounge around to figure out what went wrong. And often it'll involve me or Bart or one of our colleagues opening up the A to J interview and discovering, lo and behold, that it's got the same kind of a problem that this guy had that I created, that there are text and number variables being elicited from the user in a text field, not a properly typed number or date field. So I think that's basically what I wanted to say. We've gone over this a couple of times. It's tricky, it's easy to miss. Again, I've got a hyper simple interview here. Most of our A to J content in LHI is beautiful, complicated, hundreds of variables and dozens of pages at least. And it's easy to accidentally leave that little problem looming. And it may only trap some users, but some users will end up stumbling on the problem. And many people will be scratching their heads to figure out exactly what went wrong. Let me stop there, Claudia, in case you or others have questions or comments.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Let's give our participants a chance to ask questions, and it's a small group, so I'm happy unmuting them. If that helps. One comment that I do want to say is that we see in the Zendesk end users saying that they cannot save or assemble because not all the answers are completed. And sometimes that is because of this issue. So the more popular the interview is, the more reports on the people saying that the error message that they're getting is um, you have not completed all the answers, etc. And sometimes it's because of this issue. So I encourage anyone that has interviews active and live to take a quick look, particularly if you don't remember how you set this up or how your contractor set it up, just to make sure it's not an issue that's happening in your collection. Because it's easy to miss if you're not like really focusing on this issue. So I think I unmuted everyone. I don't know if anybody has any questions on this. No? Okay. So let me just grab the screen again. Just wrapping it up now. We are going to have, let me make myself presenter, sorry. Mark, can you make me presenter?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Making okay, show my screen. Okay. Just very quickly, our next call, we're doing these calls every quarter tentatively, is from May 23rd at 2 p.m. EST. If anybody has topics, be it technical or programmatic, that you want us to cover, that would be great. Mark and I were talking about maybe doing a little bit of sharing on how to plan and prepare to automate full collections. And by that, I mean, let's, for example, say we take the eviction, an eviction cases, and we look at them from beginning to end. So all the way from, if you're the tenant, it's gonna be, either demurs, if you're gonna be doing that, demurs, interrogatories, answers, all the way taking you hopefully to what would be a stipulation with prejudice, so that the case be dismissed, some payment plan, opportunity to stay, or whatever, or if it's going to be all the way going down to order, right? And where the self-represented cat can actually maybe, hopefully, potentially present a draft order to the court so that it's written in a more tenant-friendly way. And if you're doing you know, other types of cases, just making sure that you're covering the whole workflow. And so how do you take the technology and plan so that all of the fields are can go from, recycle, like I love using and reusing fields, and how do you plan for these packages and bundles for interviews that will be repeated within a bundle context, but interviews that will stand on their own, and making sure that everything is flowing, and then adding additional capacity, like what we call in LHI next steps or connects, which then take these multiple interviews and help you like use them asynchronously across organizations, across pro bono teams, and actually help kind of do an online usher or online navigator that lets the person know, okay, based on this, now you need to do this other form, or we encourage you to watch this video based on where they are and what ancillary or parallel court or legal processes they need to start as they get engaged in a particular thing, like for example a divorce with kids. So we're thinking about that topic. I don't know if that's of interest, but if there are other, and this is more on planning, it's a planning kind of how do you plan a beginning to end. And even if you're just doing the form in the middle, let's say you're just doing the child custody, and that's what you have funding for, thinking about that as the beginning of something that can hopefully then be developed to guide people through all the other things that will come in the context of the legal case as they move along to finalize and get the order that they need. So, but we welcome suggestions. I'll be looking at the surveys, and hopefully those will have some suggestions on trainings too. But always interested in hearing from you, and feel free to reach out if you wanna make any suggestions like that or any other topic covered in the call. And having said that, any other updates or anyone wanna share anything about their projects or forums? No? Okay. Well, thank you for joining us. The call will be posted in our YouTube channel, and we're gonna put that in the list once it's processed in the next couple of days, and so you'll have the recording of what Mark was saying if you wanna go back and dig into that. But in the meantime, please reach out. And no questions, so we're good to go. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.